Hey nerds, I've been making a game in Unity as of late, an infinite co-op 3D PvE roguelike small arena swords and guns style sci-fi movement FPS, if you will, currently named Beyond Light, which I hopefully plan to put on Steam. And in this video, we are going to be turning this into this. My goal with this video is simply to try and create the best feeling weapon system that I can, so I'm gonna hyper specialize this today, just to this one aspect of things. You see, this took quite a long time to put together, even despite how simple it might at first seem, so let's go back in time to the first Thanksgiving to get turkey off the menu, when I had just released my last video announcing this project. So I just implemented this new, shooting thing. I can left click and it shoots like this out of this. It comes out of the center of the camera, so not the greatest, but you know, there's bullets. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I think I worked a bit on the visuals for this. I don't know why. I just think it looks cool. Anyway, very cool, but honestly not all that impressive since you can't even kill things with it. Okay, I just implemented this. So, oh, don't mind don't mind this. So all of these are enemies that I can hopefully deal damage to, so if I shoot them, I think 4 times they should die. Okay, maybe it's 5. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why it's 5, but I can kill them with the bullets now, so I can use the gun. It's like a gun. That's crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to implementing stuff. Yeah, and there you go. Now we have that, you know, completed basic bullet functionality loop. I would go on to fix the bug present with the actual killing, later, but I can quickly explain what happened because it's, kinda dumb. Basically, I just forgot to initialize the enemy's health properly, and I only, updated it, and it only realized the mistake when it took the first tick of damage. So this meant that whenever they took damage for the first time, no matter how big or how small the amount was, it just got ignored and instead used that as updating itself and realizing the mistake that it made, and that's what kind of led to the enemy getting killed in 5 shots instead of the expected 4. Anyway, this was not a hard fix, but I wouldn't actually implement this for a while. The next thing I wanted to work on, aside from that, was to add a visible gun that the bullets would come from, you know, so you could actually see it. But before I could do that, I first had to make the bullets not spawn from the center of the screen, mainly because I thought it looked terrible. Okay, so crazy thing, I've been working on this for a bit, so they don't spawn in the center of the camera anymore, but you can see they still go to where you're looking at. This took a while. I'm gonna be honest, it probably should not have taken this long. I don't know why it took me this amount of time, but everything's still functional, everything's still killable with the things. Yeah, it just comes out of not the middle now. So imagine we have a gun over there, yeah. Okay, so maybe my priorities were in a bit of a different order than you might have imagined, making the bullets spawn in a new location instead of, you know, 3D modeling a gun, but you know, that was my next job, don't worry about it. Alright, this took a few days. I've got these 2 gun models here because I don't really know Blender all that well, but you know, they look interesting, I think. I don't know, I'm not a 3D modeler or anything like that. I think there's parts of them that look cool, parts of them that don't look cool. I don't like the handle on this gun. I don't like the whatever the fuck this is on this gun, but it's fine. They're serviceable weapons. I can change them later if I need to. I still have their files, so yeah, they work. And now you just have to combine everything together. Now I just spent quite a few days on this. First of all, the gun, well, obviously it's attached to the player now. It's there. Whoa, right? You can see as I move my mouse, it kind of rotates around like that. And then also, as I move around, it kind of shifts, so it feels very dynamic in the hand now. It's not, you know, just like a PNG or something that's stuck there. That's pretty damn cool. Additionally, I gave it a little firing animation. The bullets actually come from the weapon. And yeah, I also fixed the bug with these dying in 5 hits. right? I don't know what was up with that before. Well, I do know what was up with that before because I fixed it, but it wasn't that bad of a bug. I just forgot to write one line of code. It's kind of funny. Anyway, so yeah, I've been working on this, getting this to look good, you know, having this, like, exist in the hand. There is still one prominent bug that I'm debating about fixing right now, which is, currently the weapon exists in 3D space, like, it is actually physically there, so it can just clip into things like this if you get next to them. I'm not sure how much of a problem this is going to be, or if I care enough to fix it. I can fairly easily change this by just using another camera, but that'll have an FPS of detriment, so I don't know.
Foreshadowing is a literary device and
Despite what you may think, no keyframes or manual animation was used for any of this. All of the movement and the rotation and the kickback and all of that, it's all procedural and calculated on the fly. I think this gives it, like, a much more responsive and active feeling. It also saves me the effort of needing to make, like, manual animations, which is so nice. But on the note of how things look, you might have noticed the lack of hands present on the gun. I don't really want to have to deal with hands, so since this is like a sci-fi setting and all that, I'm just gonna say it's some sci-fi robot magic stuff that lets you not have hands, but like still interact with things. Look, I'm not going for realism here, it's easier to not add them, so I'm just not going to. Anyway, next up, actually using the other weapon model that I made. I've been tweaking the attacking animation, so I think it looks like more tame. And also, you can now switch weapons, so we have the other weapon that I modeled. Currently, it just shoots the same bullet, but slower and does more damage. So it one-taps these every time now. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I want to add some kind of animation for switching weapons, so they don't just, like, instantly change between the two, but it does work. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna get back to work. And so, okay, I made the weapon switching animation stuff. So as you can see, you can shoot, then you could switch the weapon, it, like, actually looks good. You can't spam this is as fast as it lets you go, there's a bit of input buffering with this. Also, if you hold left click, it doesn't let you shoot for, like, I think 0.21 seconds or something. I set it to some number like that, to prevent you from just, like, spam switching these and shooting them effectively both at the same time. And honestly, it feels really nice now, so, hello, we win these? Anyway, I'm gonna get back to coding. And since everything was going so well, I thought, you know, fixing that one slight problem I mentioned about the gun clipping into the world geometry would be a fun little task for me to do. I mean, it couldn't be that hard, right? Alright, so, it's been about 3 days. Yeah, the gun does not clip into things anymore, as you can see. It's rendered on top. This took 3 whole days of me banging my head against a wall, fighting with the renderer here. This isn't great. I mean, it looks so much better now, because it doesn't clip into stuff, and, like, yeah, it's good, but, like, oh my god, this took so long. Never again. Man, I hated that. So much fighting with the rendering pipeline and post-processing effects and camera ordering and a bunch of other really tedious work. For, like, a normal-looking game, this would not be a big problem. You can really just slap a camera into this scene, tell it to render on top of another one, and bing bang boom, you're done. And you know, I thought it would be like that for me as well, but no. So for one thing, post-processing. I have some stuff like bloom and slight color grading and whatnot, just touches like that to make everything look nicer. So obviously I want to apply this to everything on the screen, but now parts of the screen are being rendered by different cameras. So just have each camera apply post-processing, right? No, wrong. The first camera renders itself as normal, applies post-processing as normal, it's all good. The second camera renders itself, and then overlays what it rendered on top of the first camera's output, and then applies its post-processing. In other words, it's applying the post-processing again, on top of the already existing processed first camera output, effectively squaring the effects. This is not what I want. The solution I found was to basically just apply the post-processing only at the final camera step, but this still doesn't fully solve the problem because I left out a key detail here. You see, I have a custom full-screen shader that adds some interesting outlines to things around the screen. So, where in the rendering line of logic do you think this happens? Well, it happens as the last operation per camera. Normally, this means it's not affected by post-processing, as, you know, it applies after the post-processing. However, now that we disabled post-processing on the first camera, the only time post-processing gets applied is at the end of the second camera, which is itself after the outline shader on the first camera, meaning the outline of just the first camera, but not the second camera, is being affected by post-processing. This is not what we want at all, and it kind of is a complete mess. And I had to figure all of that out by hand through trial and error because I've never done any kind of render work like this before. Like, my most graphically intense game prior to this was a pixelated 2D game called Hypersmith, link in the description by the way, gotta plug that where I can and all that. And yeah, I know you can specifically set this shader to render before post-processing, in other words, meaning that it'll be affected by post-processing, but this is basically the opposite of what I actually want for the effect. I don't want it to be affected by post-processing at all. So yeah, this took me quite a few days to wrap my head around, and the worst part is, I couldn't even think of a way to really solve this. As far as I can tell, it is a fundamental aspect of the way cameras are made in Unity that they must complete the rendering before it can be passed to the next camera in the chain. You can kind of get around this through using render textures, which is to say rendering the camera out onto an image, which, believe me, I tried to do, but they have their own problems. Somewhere along the pipeline of my current project, the final output texture is being set to fully opaque, not transparent anywhere, and I don't know if this is just a problem with my project or something else entirely, but it means I really could not easily overlay the two since they were both fully not transparent at all. And to boot, I was having trouble getting post-processing to even work with that method. So yeah, I was kind of in a pickle. Nothing I tried was working, and after a few days, I kind of just threw in the metaphorical towel and made a hacky solution. Instead of properly resolving this mess and trying to find a way to get everything to render in the right order and whatnot, I kind of just turned the output brightness up on the outline shader enough to counteract the post-processing amount that it was dimming it, and then called it good enough. I don't think you can tell that this is what I did based on just the final image, as it looks basically fine, but it took multiple days of my life and this game's development just to make this hacky solution to a stupid problem. But anyway, let's get back to the actual game at hand. This was kind of a detour. Alright, I've been working on some stuff. This is actually pretty exciting. So I've added these kind of hit indicators. So for one, there's the numbers that appear whenever you attack stuff, and there's also now a little thing on the center cursor dot thing. I don't really know what to call that, but like these hit indicators make shooting feel so much nicer and so much more responsive. Like, we are getting to some really, really cool stuff here. Currently, there's still a lot I need to add, but, you know, we'll get there. Anyway, I'll get back to it. There was actually a slight bug present right there with the red floaty numbers, where for the first frame when they spawned in, they didn't have the color properly set, so they were white instead of red. I fixed this in the next clip, I just forgot to say. Alright, I've done some pretty exciting stuff. So number one, I started working on reloading. So you can see the weapon gets a bit dimmer as I shoot, it brightens up when it reloads. There is actual reloading mechanics, although currently there is no animation for this. It's kind of just sitting there. I don't exactly know what I'm gonna do for the animation because I don't want to have to make a reload animation for every weapon. I think that's a lot of work that I just don't want to do, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there, I guess. Also, you may have noticed at the bottom of the screen there's those indicators. Those are actually, like, information about the player state, like if you can double jump or if you can dash. Just decided to throw those in as, like, some helpful little tool tips for, you know, like, keeping track of the player state. I also just fell off the map, don't talk about that. But yeah, so, been working on that. Also done some other tweaks, like, when you actually shoot enemies, I fixed some bugs with this, I made it a bit more snappy, changed some of the values to make it a bit cooler. There's some stuff you probably wouldn't notice with these, which I can go into a bit of detail later, but yeah, I've been just kind of tweaking this stuff, making it feel cool and whatnot. Anyway. And I think I forgot another thing, which is I forgot to go over what I meant at the end there, so I'll just go over that right now. The floating hit numbers, when close to an enemy, you can see they are small and don't move up that far. I mean, it's an alright amount, but just like keep in mind, proportional to the size of the enemy itself, how far it is and how much it moves. So when you walk far away and then hit the enemy again, you can see it feels about a natural size and gains about a natural amount of height, but if you actually look proportional to the enemy, the text is much bigger and moves quite a lot farther. They still do get a bit smaller with distance, but much less so, and I kind of just did this to make the game feel a lot more readable. Hi, yeah, I just made some reload animations so you can see after I kill all these enemies, it does a little turn there. It's different speeds for different weapons, which is pretty cool. So this one, it's faster, this one, it's slower, you know? It's something. I'm not sure if I'm the happiest with it, uh, but it's there. It definitely is working at least. And it would be like a good week, maybe week and a half break between that clip and my next recording for a reason I'm about to explain. Hi, it's been yeah, it's been like a few days. I was gonna record this video sooner, or this clip a little bit sooner, but I got a little bit sick, so that kind of sledgehammered me to the face in terms of progress. But I have been doing stuff. Um, I've been adding a lot of what I will call juice stuff to make the game actually feel a lot better. So for one, there's sound effects now. So that's pretty cool, right? You can see like there's a bit of a muzzle flash when you shoot. When the bullets impact, there's some particle effects. When I go over to the enemies, you can see like they like flash white. They have like, they kind of poof into like a little fart cloud. I don't really know if this is supposed to be an explosion or like a disintegration effect or something. I haven't really decided what I'm doing. It's just, I just put something there as like an effect to make it look cooler. And so yeah, I've been working on this. This has its own sound effect as well for shooting. I'm not the happiest with how it sounds. It's literally just a pitched down version of this shooting. I don't know how obvious that is, but so like yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been having a lot of fun just shooting these things. Yeah, that's been most of what I've been doing. I've been doing a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes, like reworking the sound engine here, but yeah, we got fun stuff going. Plus, also, hi, I'm still sick, but I added something. I added a new type of gun, and when I say it, I mean it's just a new weapon. This is kind of like a intermediary firing gun, like you have fast firing, slower firing, I don't know. I just modeled this, something to do while I was sick, you know, and yeah, it's here now. I'm not the happiest with how the scope looks. I think it feels almost too high quality, or like too many polygons compared to the rest of the model, but I'm not exactly sure if I want to fix that or how I can fix that. So yeah, I'll look at it. I do fix the scope later, by the way. I'll bring it up when that happens. Been doing some more work, so you can see there's bullet spread now, and then also in the bottom right corner you can see there's like an ammo counter, so that's pretty cool. I also added a new type of weapon, which is a shotgun, and this, you know, shoots like a spray of bullets. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing with this right now. I just kind of added it, thought it'd be cool. The audio is a bit bugged because there's like 8 bullets hitting at the same time, and they're all playing their own audio, so those are kind of stacking together and becoming louder. Especially if I do that. Anyway, I'll think about how to fix that, but, you know, it's working right now. It's working. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, when you reload this gun and switch to the other one, I added a little UI so you can see the reloading progress of the unequipped guns, you know? You can see them both at the same time now. Isn't that so cool? Anyway. This is almost caught up. Done a bunch of miscellaneous work here. The shotgun now has a better shooting sound, or at least it's different than it was before. I fixed the audio stacking problem with the shots, so they sound a more normal volume now, which is pretty cool. I've also adjusted the scope on this. I forgot to mention that before. I also scaled it down a bit, so I think it, you know, looks slightly better in hand. So both of these weapons are a bit cooler now. Yeah. I'm pretty much running out of things to do, at least on the pure weapon side of things. Like, I think I'm basically at my goal here. So, yippee. I've got one last clip here. Hi, just made some small tweaks. The gun flash now is a bit more prominent for the shooting. The like the dimming gets a bit darker whenever you reload, so that it gets a little bit less bright, gets a little bit more dark blue, you know. Added this weapon. Also fixed some bugs related to stuff with like bullets and shooting and related stuff. So before, if you got too close to a wall, it would just kind of not work. The bullet would spawn inside the wall, and then it just would like forget that it's supposed to collide with it, and then it would just go through it. Now I kind of spawn the bullets properly, so they're not just like, oh, yeah, that's loud. I don't know if I want to fix that or not. But yeah, it's looking pretty good right now. Yeah. And yeah, this is where things stand right now. Quite a lot, I think, over this month-ish of development time, although not an insignificant portion of that was spent being a college student and also being sick for a bit. I'm still kind of being affected by that right now as I record this, but I hope that doesn't come across too much through whatever. Oh, but I did want to mention something that you might be wondering about the current weapon system, which is why I never implemented an ADS system. Why can you not aim down the sights? Well, it's for a few reasons. The first is because that requires time and effort, but I'm only half serious. The second is because this style of game, this fast-paced parkour movementy roguelike, kinda just isn't suited that well to long-range combat, which scoping kind of incentivizes, and I want you to be forced into more close encounters, which bullet spread from hip firing kinda just naturally pulls you to. But the third, and probably most interesting reason, is that I have other plans for your right mouse button. Your left click will shoot, as is common among other games, but your right click will not scope, and instead, at least based on what I have planned right now, activate a gadget or device, or something like that, held in your other hand. You see, you will have a gun on one side, and a gadget on the other, dual wielding. These gadgets can be stuff like grappling hooks, knockback grenades, maybe portable force fields, etc. I don't want to make too many hard statements about what I will or will not include for gadgets, as this is mostly in the concepting stage of things right now, but you get the point. Stuff that helps you in combat. Now, I haven't made these yet, as this video is focused on adding the weapons and just the weapons, but I think when I get around to adding this, it's going to add a lot of modularity and self-expression to your gameplay when I get around to it, so like, yay? What I mean is, this being a roguelike and all, you're going to be able to have different weapons and swap them out and get items that buff and debuff them in different ways and so on, but ideally with this new idea, you will be able to have that same kind of loop of getting items and swapping things out, but with your gadget as well, and that will grow with you. As I said, I think this is going to add a lot of player expression to the game, but I don't want to dwell too long on what isn't yet made. I'm just telling you about this concept right now to explain why I didn't put any time into making aim-down sights for the current weapon system. It's because I have other plans to fill its place. And then beyond that, I have another thing I want to talk about, which is multiplayer. This game is going to be multiplayer. I am very set on that, although it makes development much harder. Does all of the recent gun and bullet stuff work across multiplayer right now? No, none of what I added here was implemented for multiplayer yet, and that's for some pretty damn good reasons. Namely, it's going to take a long time, and I want to get this video out in at least a somewhat timely manner, relatively speaking, so it had to be put on the side for now, but my next video is going to be all about making the stuff work with multiplayer. So, why does network implementation itself require an entire video? Quite simply, networking code is goddamn complex, and I don't think I can do it justice by taking it and just slapping it on to something else, hence my intention to make a dedicated video about it. Just trust me on this, it's not a simple topic. But you don't have to worry about any of that right now, because right now we have this sick as hell gun system, which honestly I am very proud of. It's not the most glamorous thing in the world, that's for sure, but I think this serves as an excellent baseline to work from going forward. Although you might not be able to see it, I put a lot of effort into making the internals function very nicely and making them easy for me to expand upon in the future should I so choose. Plus also, I mean, it just feels so damn good to shoot enemies right now. Like, to highlight what I mean on that, I spent a sizable amount of time just opening the project, jumping around, and shooting these stationary unreactive beans. Somewhere in there, I crossed the line between technical observation on seeing what I could improve, and entered into me just kinda messing around and wasting time. Look, it's really fun, alright? Anyway, I noticed this behavior of mine, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, it clearly shows I am finding that just interacting with the game itself already fun, which in my eyes bodes fairly well considering the absolute lack of anything to do with anything else in the game. And if I'm able to have fun with basically nothing here, then when I actually add stuff on top of this, I think I'm going to be having a blast, and therefore ideally so will anyone else who actually plays this game. That's the idea, at least. Plus, you know, I think co-op multiplayer just kind of makes any action or casual game more fun and versatile. Like, it's not the best for story-based experiences, but basically anything else is purely enhanced by being able to be played with friends, and so I plan to capitalize on that. I think this project has quite the interesting future ahead, and I have a pretty well-defined roadmap for where development is going, so I hope you stick around with me to find out more. Anyways, yeah, that's really all I had to say with this video, so feel free to check out my Discord server in the description for daily updates if you care about that, and I'm gonna be seeing you guys later, be it in the past, present, or future.